Today's story returns us to events of December 2008 and the mysterious death of GOP strategist Mike Connell. It's a story that should have gotten far greater attention than it did at the time of Connell's death. And it's a story that we have to remember if we're concerned with, at all, the integrity of our elections in this country. Welcome to Collateral. In December 2008, Republican IT guru Mike Connell, a man who worked closely for many years with GOP strategist Karl Rove, died in what many have come to believe was a suspicious single-engine plane crash. Connell was an experienced pilot with over 500 hours of flight time, and he was piloting the plane. The NTSB investigation found, quote, no anomalies that would have precluded normal operation, unquote, though as we will see, there is reason to believe there's more to this crash than meets the eye.
45-year-old Michael Connell, an experienced pilot, crashed into a vacant house. Well, tonight, more about Connell and his ties to a possible White House scandal.
Connell was subpoenaed to appear at a deposition in November 2008 over his role in possible GOP vote tampering in Ohio during the 2004 presidential election vote count. Connell had created the vote counting software for then Ohio Secretary of State Ken Blackwell, a highly partisan Christian conservative who was George Bush's campaign manager in the state. At the November 2008 deposition, Connell stonewalled lawyer Cliff Arnebeck's questions. But it was clearly determined that Connell was the architect of the vote counting arrangement for that evening. After the deposition, he apparently had a change of heart and made it clear that he had more to tell, and that he now wanted to come clean. Around that time, Connell reported to Arnebeck alleged threats made against him by Karl Rove.
Rove is a criminal, using criminal methods to cover up, to commit crime and to cover up the crime and to get away with it. And even to this day, as we identify a witness that can really shed light on the entire conspiracy, we have been informed by somebody in the McCain campaign who's an honest person that Rove has made a threat against that witness.
Neither of the attorney generals or the court took action. 6 weeks after the deposition, Connell died in the plane crash.
The fatal plane crash of Michael Connell was certainly untimely. The 45-year-old local man was accused of rigging the 2004 election for President Bush, a claim that Connell denied under oath. But under closer examination, civil attorney Clifford Arnebeck wanted Connell placed under federal protection. Arnebeck was worried that if Connell told all that he knew about President Bush and the 2004 campaign, Connell's life would be in jeopardy. Arnebeck said he received confidential information that Republican operative Karl Rove threatened Connell and his wife if Connell told all that he knew.
Now you might be wondering what it was that Rove's people might have been trying to keep covered up by quieting Connell forever. Well, the relationship between Rove and Connell goes back 2 decades, and that Connell's companies became, in the words of Maxim reporter Simon Moreau, a virtual research and development lab for the Republican Party. For examples, Connell was intimately involved in the Swiftboat Veterans for Truth's website used to smear John Kerry. He was also involved in the creation of secret email accounts used by Rove and other White House staffers. He was also behind the firewall at many key GOP websites. He worked on Jeb Bush's 1998 gubernatorial campaign, and he was the chief architect of George W. Bush's 2000 campaign website. Further, it seems that Connell was present at the scene of or otherwise involved in a number of suspicious election results in the last several years. The Florida presidential count in 2000, Don Siegelman's gubernatorial defeat in Alabama in 2002, Ohio in 2004, and perhaps even Georgia in 2002 in the hotly contested Senate race between Saxby Chambliss and Matt Cleland. In each case, Republicans won disputed victories against Democratic opponents.
The lawyers in the case refer to him as a high IQ Forrest Gump, by which they mean that he seems to have been present at the scene of every dubious election of the last 8 years.
Take the Ohio 2004 election vote count as an example of the complex means that many believe were used to affect the outcome of the election, and also to create layers of separation between those at the top and the companies that did the alleged vote shaving. Ken Blackwell hired a company named GDC Limited to run the election IT systems. They subcontracted the job to Connell's company, GovTech, who in turn subcontracted a Chattanooga, Tennessee-based company named SmartTech to act as a backup server for the evening. Now, SmartTech servers were also home to the missing emails of Karl Rove, incidentally. Cliff Arnebeck, the man who brought the suit challenging the Ohio election results, claims that URL records from the Secretary of State's website from that November evening show that at 3 points during the night, SmartTech computers took over the tabulation from the Secretary of State's systems. This is called a man-in-the-middle attack.
And yes, if you put a man-in-the-middle attack, a computer sitting in the middle to change or capture or manipulate the information, it will do so. Is it possible? Yeah!
Is it probable?
Of course!
Do you think it will
It's
happen?
valuable to be president. There's people out there spending billions trying to become the president. It's valuable. If you can steal it for a couple $1,000,000, why not?
Spoonamore tried to get Connell to talk to a congressional judiciary committee about what he knew, and Connell agreed. Connell died, however, before he ever testified before that committee and before he could give additional testimony in the case brought by Arnebeck. One of the truly bizarre features of this case is a twist that occurred in September 2009, when an anonymous letter was sent to the FBI in Ohio and 5 other addressees, including Connell's wife, Heather. Enclosed is a document that is not meant to exist, begins the letter. The letter contained a supposed, quote, after-action report, unquote, by a black ops agent. All names are redacted, but the report provides detailed time log of actions taken to install a device in the engine of Connell's plane at the College Park airfield in Washington, D.C. the night before he made his fatal flight. Connell himself is not mentioned by name, but the registration number of his plane is, which the agent confirms he has been sent to neutralize. The letter accompanying the report is headed Michael Connell, homicide. It ends with the words, quote, Connell was not NST, national security threat, unquote. We should note that the registration number noted in the letter may contain a typo. Nevertheless, according to reporter Simon Worrell, whose story on the subject just ran in Maxim magazine, a number of experts from the intelligence community who have seen the document believe it to be genuine.
When I voted yesterday electronically, the first vote that you vote for on the ballot is the presidential candidate. And so I hadn't, I did my first time doing electronic. So I didn't obviously mark the X strong enough, or I held down too long. Oh, no. Because then when I went back to check it, it had not recorded my presidential vote. And I was like,
problem is, Americans do not want to believe that we have people stealing our elections, and they must come to the realization there are people in this country who want to steal elections, and we must stop them.